dropping intro, and we will be live in 3, 2, 1. And it's time to talk about all things yarn related. As my knitting club here, I want to talk about my seriousness about Afghans and how to make them the most comfortable for the winter.
What, we're not doing hook and loop? That's it, I'm out.
You're like, I'm only hook and loop. I'm a hook and loop specialist, my friends. How goes the day?
It goes great. It goes fantastic. And we here are excited to talk to you guys about some upcoming major events you might be going to today.
You know, I'm looking at my background, fellas, and I have to say, has there been a worse time to play Craft World than right now after a back-to-back Votann Guard release?
Maybe you should just take an LVO.
No balls, Brad. No balls.
Yeah.
I
$50
mean,
bucks? I hear you're pretty cheap. $50.
I mean, I literally do just randomly show up with armies for very little anything.
Hold up. No, Brad's cheap. I'll give you a half-eaten ham sandwich.
I don't like ham that much. Can we make it turkey? I'm in.
Okay, a full turkey sandwich and a half drinking Dr. Pepper.
Is it still got carbonation?
Yes.
All right, I'm in. You had me at hello. All right, you guys want to talk about LVO a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's been some major announcements. I think there is definitely some stuff we need to talk about.
Well, let's start with the big one. I actually think it's pretty huge because I was talking about it earlier and trying to make lists with the LVO restrictions, which say if there isn't an official released model by, what is it, like a couple weeks or a few weeks? Is it January? Brian, what's the actual date on that?
I think it's January 6th, I think is the cutoff date, if I remember correctly.
Oh, what an auspicious day. Sounds like we're not going to get some guard stuff by then.
So basically, what that means is you're not going to take a Rogaldorn. You won't be able to take Creed. You won't be able to take Solar. You won't be able to take the Katie and Castellan. And officially, Rough Riders DMX style, aren't going to be able to be taken because they have a new model that hasn't been released.
Yeah, I mean, on the Chaos side, I don't think we're going to get World Eaters because they said January, but just in case, you're not going to be playing them at LVO unless you're a mad lad, which, hey, more power to you, man.
I mean, the army's still strong, but man, for instance, Creed, not having Creed is a big nerf to your indirect. The orders, the strength, the point is a big deal. That's one of the things that I go to. Every time I've made a guard list, Creed has been in all of them. And she's good. Like really good.
Lord Solar is literally Gilliman on crack. Like in Gilliman's ship, when he's going from crusade to crusade, there's a poster of the Lord Solar. So he's like, that's what I want to be when I grow up. That's that right there.
I mean, I don't know. Gilman's still pretty much a badass.
Not as badass as a guy on a horse.
Not on the tabletop.
Definitely not on the tabletop. And definitely not in the Horus Heresy books either.
Is Solus in the Horus Heresy books?
Yeah. He's the Emperor. Like they just went down.
I mean, it's still not Solar Marcarius, but it's still a good Solar.
Yeah, it's a good trade-off.
So let's get a little bit more on track here. So these changes is big. So you won't see some people that were talking about switching to guard actually probably playing guard LVO because it completely lowers their firepower drastically. So you think Creed, she's almost instrumental in a lot of the artillery builds.
The plus is the strength, the orders, and it's cheap orders too. You know what I mean? Those are good orders.
Karthkins are also nowhere near as effective without Solus because he's what gives them the full rerolls to hit and wound.
Yeah.
So they lose a lot of their firepower. So like that trick, like I got to play them for the first time yesterday, and they're brutal. They're strong.
They're nuts when you put the full buffs on them, full rerolls. First rank, second rank to make them heavy 3, and then full rerolls with, of course, the mortals. And right now, they have it the old school wording, which says it's 6 per target, not 6 total. So you can literally shoot 3 different things and do 6 mortals, 6 mortals, 6 mortals.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It just it's kind of like we've seen Voltan at Chicago. You know, like we got to see him do well stuff. We've seen one make, I think, Final 8, and but they didn't have the firepower they needed to get past that Final 8 because
The firepower, they didn't have the rest of their stuff. I mean, like the Zerkers make up the counter punch, so it's a big deal for Votan. I think they're going to make a big splash in LVO, especially player place terrain, because those bikes can just get wherever the hell they want, which is a big deal because there's not that many armies. That's one of the big things that Tau do when you watch yourself, Tom, playing Tau, the TT, is you can always get those angles because they're so fast. That's the thing that the bikes for Pioneer bikes do. I mean, when you're playing against them, if you're playing with them, they're your number one asset. If you're playing against them, bikes have to die.
So based on that release time, are we going to get Zerkers? We're not getting Zerkers then, right?
I don't think we're getting Zerkers at all. You got to remember that, the last year, what was it? Last year we got almost nothing. I think they randomly threw in Crusher out of nowhere. We got Crushers and Custodes out of nowhere. I mean, there's always the chance that we get some
and
stuff.
GSC.
Yeah, because those were at the beginning of December.
Right.
Yep. You got GSC and Custards are like two, like in the beginning of January, basically.
And then we got the White Dwarf with Crusher.
With Crusher. Yep.
And when
But
you
it was
looked at the
very
top
new.
8, those were all over the place.
Well, that's another thing to talk about, guys, because the cutoff for Armies of Renown is the new year for them all to go away. If you're not in a codex, you're basically going away right now.
Right.
wait, hold on, and maybe because I've been out of the loop a lot for work. Where they announced that at?
When they put out the data slate, they said they were good through January 1st.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was a typical GW when one of the most the fact that the data slate had no information in it except for at the very bottom, like a disclaimer, like it looked like a drug commercial. Like, yeah, take this for your stomach. Side effects include eyes bleeding and your face exploding. Like, whoa, wait a minute, go back to that thing. Like, what? But they put that. They just basically Armies of Renown, new year, done. And there's not that many of them that haven't been just absorbed into their codexes, but you have AdMech still has one out there, not being played as much, but you've got the Death Watch Army of Renown, which is the only thing you've been seeing being played by Death Watch right now.
Yep.
And that's probably the biggest deal, to be honest, for Army of Renown style. I'm trying to think of what else is out there.
Yeah, I mean, AdMech's going to suffer the most.
I mean, if it's that all those campaign books are going away, you get Cult of Strife going away too.
Oh, well, is it? Yeah, because are they not an Army of Renown? Are they? Is it just
they're not an Army of Renown, but all the rules in those books are supposed to be going away the first of the year.
Oh, that's a huge deal. That's gigantic, actually, because all of the strats that Dark Elder players use, not all of them, but a large majority of them, all the combat strats, come from the Cult of Strife book.
We got Max telling us Drakari for Rax, and then Matt James telling us Space Marine Phobos one.
Oh yeah, they've got that. You've got the Vanguard. What's his face? Also, you've got the Drakari, the Coven, Army of Renown. All of those will be gone, which is a big deal because you're especially like as Dark Eldar, you're not even using like them exclusively, but you're like Cold of Strife, man. That's huge on that. Yeah, I mean, you use so many of those. The Ignore Overwatch, the weapons, Morvane's Agonizers in there. You've got the Multiple Fight, the +1. There's so many things that are in there. And then you've just got a lot of these armies that, even if they weren't playing a ton, that was the style of army they were playing, though, was coming from those books. That is a big thing. That's so much. That is, I got to get my chi together. Hold on, guys. I'm just thinking about that, and I'm thinking about how little was said in the data slate and how big of a deal that last little line runner was at the end there. Oh, yeah. This also happened. You're like, wait a minute. What?
Yeah, I mean, it's very plus then we're gonna have a balance update, right? So like
it's not gonna
we're
be
gonna
until
play
after.
LVO, and then like 2 weeks later they're gonna fuck the entire world up with a brand new balance update.
Everything's gonna be exploded. We're also gonna get a couple books in. There's a
Well, you're also
1,000%.
going to get World Eaters. You're going to get the new tournament book.
We're gonna get
all of that right after.
And the new tournament book is actually bigger than any of them, and everybody again doesn't realize that. I don't know why.
Because these are going to be new missions.
Yes,
It's every other one.
The thing is that new secondaries, new missions mean more than anything else. You know, one book means absolutely fuck all compared to everybody getting new missions and new secondaries. You know what I mean? That's huge.
Not to mention they can just rewrite the secondaries that are doing too well,
right,
or aren't doing well at all. Like that's
they can
why
also rewrite. I mean, right now everything match played Nephilim is 6 CP. If they increase the CP, which, you know, one of the predominant rumors that's flying around the internet is they're going to bring it to 9. If that's the case, that changes things as well. That changes army composition, the way you look at things, running relics,
make them
and tons of other
cost points. My God, I can't believe we're still paying CP for relics and warlord traits. It is, God damn it. It's so stupid. It's army. Everything in your army should just cost points. In the game is where you're spending command points. It's so dumb. You're like, hey, man,
not going to get me to disagree with you.
God, it just drives me crazy. You're like, hey, man, the Reaper of Obliterax is the same as the Crown or whatever, one of those relics that you never take. You know what I mean? Like, it's so stupid. Just make that cost.
Well, it's like if you look at that, if you look at like a predominant relic, what do you put for a point cost on it? We'll use the Reaper as the thing. What would you put on it? 25 points, 30 points, 50 points?
Let's say it's basically an exalted. Right now you're paying, like, I actually think the demons did it right, except for they put relics in with exalted traits and stuff like that. It's probably a 40 pointer. You know what I mean? That's a 40-point upgrade for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the demon book did a lot. I think the demon book kind of outlines what they want in 10th edition. They don't want you taking a whole bunch of warlord traits, but you can take relics. You can buy additional relics. And then upgrades should just be points. You should not have to spend CP to upgrade your model to be playable. So I think that's another route they're going to take with the new book. I think you're going to see a lot of that kind of stuff in the future.
It's just so silly to me because we see the same relics and warlord traits being taken now because we have so many less. And you'd see more if they just costed points. I'd be willing to pay 10 points to try out random shitball relic or whatever. You know what I mean? To put it on the table. Yep. I'm just not going to do that if they're all the same. You know what I mean? So the Ruin and Damnation is the exact same as the other 5 that I can't even remember now because they all suck comparatively. But it's just crazy. Just put points on them and you just adjust them accordingly. You're like, hey, man, competitive edge is slightly better than...
Well, it's interesting, too, because they got it right with Death Guard, right? Like, Death Guard, you could add all those upgrades onto your poison weapons, but then the rest of the addition, they were like, fuck it. It's fine. Whatever. We're going to do this. We're going to sprinkle it in. Thousand Suns have it as well, where you can upgrade your character to make them.
I mean, Tyranids got that too with dermic symbiosis, you know, and all of those adaptives that, you know.
You mean the adaptives that I like the fact that their adaptives are no longer adaptive. Your adaptive trait is now an inflexible adaptive trait. So
it's very inflexible.
I love everything about that. Kevin's got a good thing on that. He goes, I don't know if they think they have the magic win rate. They may not change much. And I'm so on wobble. I'm completely on I'm going to politician answer the shit out of that one, because as much as we bitch, you can win with more armies than you have been in forever, basically. You know what I mean, meta-wise? But I would like to see some changes, like the fact that I'm bitching about the CP thing is just a big thing that's easily changed. You know what I mean? There's a lot of these things that could be changed quickly, and I'm a little worried that we're either going to get nothing, like the last data slate, where they basically went, hey, man, if you're playing Marines, maybe you suck. You know, I hope they don't do more of that, but I also don't want them to go, hey, look it, the meta's the most close to balance as it's been in years. Maybe we just throw some charges in the water and just see if we can get some fish.
And that's where I would like to see someone take a deeper dive into the stats, as not being a stat guy, is to look at the top, 5 or 6 armies versus stuff in that 5 or 6 for win rates and then outside that 5 or 6 for win rates to see where the variants are, because I think that would make a big difference in what you see for win rates. Because Marines against Marines, it's probably a 50-50, but Marines against Votan is probably like a 20-80, where Votan's winning 80% of the time. Yeah, that's one of the things that I think we need to dive deeper into on that side of things if we're talking about statistics.
Let me ask you guys a question real quick. So we're going on all this stuff. I don't want to get too far from LVO because it's what I'm interested in. Knowing that guard is not going to be its top tier form, we're not going to see Voltan as a top tier. If you had to pick your top 5 armies for LVO, so we pretty much have to see the meta we're going to have, right? What would you pick?
Probably the same we have right now. I mean, you're going to see the same stuff. Nothing's going to change. If nothing's changing from now to then, you're going to see the same things, right? So you're going to see your Tau. Cool. You know, that's definitely something you're going to see. You're still going to see NIDS because NIDS still play well. NIDS would still do well, especially cracking NIDS. Harlequins are still going to be up there, especially with player-based terrain. They do much better. Some form of knights. I do not want to get into the specifics of what knight that is. My honest opinion is it's Chaos Knights perform a little better than Imperial Knights on player-based terrain, but that's just me. And then some form of Chaos.
My top 5.
So Paul, we have a guy in here, Paul Lau. Welcome to the channel, by the way. Nice to have you watching us. But the reason why we're not saying guard is not going to be his top form because they announced today, right? It was today, guys?
Yep, today.
They announced today that if you don't have a model, you can't play. You can't even convert a model for it.
I still think they're going to be up there. I'm not talking about the players. I think it's just the faction performance, not even who's in the top on that. I do think it's still going to be Tau, Clowns, Votan, Nids, and Guard. Because Clowns have great matchups into anybody that's not bombing them with indirect. They do very, very well. And especially if somebody knows how to use player-placed terrain, because they can make their Votan and their Tau matchup better by good terrain placement. So if it was another format, I would say completely different because you don't have as many places to go. But I don't know if they're going to win because literally they could be spoiled by any guard that has heavy indirect. It just has too many guns. Plus born soldiers.
I think guard's still gonna top 8.
I agree
at LVO.
100%.
Oh yeah.
I think even without the additional models, Carsicans are out, veteran guardsmen are out, the heavy support platforms are out. There's enough stuff out there that I think they'll be fine.
Carsicans are good, but when you can't get the full rerolls, you at least 30% decrease in their output. At least. And I think a lot of people who are going to want to go to LVO and then take it serious where they're actually trying to win it, not just going for the tournament, but trying to go for the win it, are going to avoid an army that doesn't have access to the things that make them the top. I mean, for example, I'm going pretty hard in the guard next season, right? I'm having an entire army fully professionally painted and commission painted. And to answer Lyle's question, I'm probably sticking with my Tau.
Let's backtrack real quick. I want to just do the announcement because we did it at the beginning and some people are joining. Louise is asking also. They announced today that anything that doesn't have an official model release by the 6th of January can't be played at LVO. And that means that a decent amount of the guard range will not be available for LVO.
Yeah, it was either the 6th or the 7th. I don't remember which one it is, but it's one of those.
I would say they're both. Either way, they're the same. You know what I mean? It's just the first week.
So you've got that, right? And then the second thing we need to talk about LVO is the terrain update that they had, which is the second part about this, which definitely changes the dynamic of these armies a lot as well, which is that first floor windows, door openings, anything that's not like an actual break in a wall, like an actual full opening to a wall.
But real quick on that, TJ, remember that
that's not 100% accurate.
No, because the barricades together are considered 100% blocking.
Yep.
Well, I said ruins.
If you look at their full player pack's not up yet, but anything that they currently have released that has an F on it, where they show the lettering. So if you look at the player pack right now, I think they've got like 5 tables listed. If anything has the F, that means the first floor is completely blocked. F means first floor blocked. A few of the pieces that have windows don't have F. It's certain things. So everyone's going to have to, before they play, before they call a judge, everything is going to have to look at their player pack for the table they're on, the terrain that table has, and read those letters, which work out to be keyworded letters, and know what those are. If you don't read that player pack going into LVO, you are at a huge disadvantage to those who do.
To answer Kevin's question, if they got a new model, you have to have the new model. You can't use the old model. So things like Rough Riders are not available. And the second question we have here is, actually, let's ask every one of us answer one of these. So we have someone asking us, Andy Mian, I'm probably
just say Andy.
Okay, Andy wants to know a sleeper faction that can make it in the top 8, like last year, Seegler's AdMech. So all of us take a turn and everyone pick a faction that thinks going to be a sleeper this year.
I did, man. I already put it in chat.
What is it?
Thousand Suns played by a dude with a tie.
Yeah, okay. There are going to be some demons in that army, for the record.
By the way, your current list is getting obliterated. You're literally running up guys going, hey man, how do you think my list is looking? As you're saying that, GW has a near naked choke almost completely sunk in. You're like, everything's good, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be yeah. It's gonna be bad.
That army is so nasty right now, dude.
All right, so sleeper faction. Let's focus on Tom's question there.
Yeah,
Tom, what do you think the sleeper faction is?
Oh no, I'm gonna go last. So I want
to go last on this one. Okay,
TJ, tell us your sleeper, TJ.
I don't know that I have a sleeper faction.
I do have one.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some Eldar nonsense. Some warp gate, warp gate webway gate. Lots of infantry running around.
So I see what's going on. I got a little bromance going on. Brad picked Thousand Suns, you picked his Eldar. I see what you guys are doing here.
No, I have one that I actually think can make it up in there. If you want to go for
Brad, you gave your answer. You get one.
No, I said hit TJ specifically, but I'm saying if you want to go for an actual faction that I think actually plays well into the general meta but doesn't really break over, I think orcs actually have some games into a lot of this stuff.
Okay, Brian, you're up. Your faction.
So to be honest with you, I think the sleeper faction's orcs. I agree with Brad. That's what I was going to say before he even chimed in. I think they play against the top tier armies really well. Their hardest matchup is probably Tau, but at the same time, if Tau isn't skilled by Ogden or Brenton, there's a solid chance that they're going to come over the top.
Fucini plays a nasty.
Yeah, that's true.
He has to take an expensive flight.
Oh, he's already coming, and then our boy's coming. He's
definitely coming.
He's 100%.
Eloise has a good question on that. She goes, "Why not Necrons or Sisters? They have the best secondaries." No,
before we answer, I want to do my sleeper faction.
Oh, my bad. I thought you were just passing like a sissy.
No, calling it right now. There's gonna be a Blood Angel in the top 8.
I'll bet you a sandwich is not happening. Actually, it might. It depends on the ruling on Magic boxes.
They said they're trying to fix it, which is awesome.
We're betting a sandwich. I'll bring Blood Angels. I'll make it top 8 just to prove that wrong.
All right. So the question was about Sisters and Necrons. So
why are they not the pick?
Right.
I'll start this off, and I can steal some of your guys' thunder before.
All right.
Because with the new releases of Guard and Votann, it adds 2 more armies that have the volume of shots to just pick Necrons up, because Necrons don't play like a regular army. They basically put you on a timer and say, you have to kill me by this time before I score all my points. Sisters are an amazing army, but the army's basically made of 1 wound T3. So if you put just 1 billion shots of them, it doesn't matter even if you're taking 2 up saves. You're still just going to lose some people. And I think with guard indirect into the sisters, I think they're going to have some bad matches. So I actually think sisters could perform very well, but man, that guard matchup is a dumpster fire. Just a dumpster fire of them just getting hit with mortars and wounded on either 2s or 3s. Just take another 30 saves. Cool. Every time you fail one, somebody dies. Also, I heard Repentia have a shitty save.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really do a
fire
lot to tanks either, right? I mean, they have anti-tank stuff like sisters, but it's really like, hey, I've got a squad of retributors. They're going to come out.
You're going to have basically 2 squads of retributors, but the problem isn't that they don't have the thing. They have limited range. They're basically shooting at 30 inches, 33 if you get out of a rhino, but then you're not getting vol buffs at that point in time. So you can't even guarantee that you're putting stuff down. You know what I mean? So you can just get outranged. And the problem is, as a guard player, is just going to rush idiots in your face, because they have the ability to trade like you do, where you keep having to put your units out there. And I think they're just going to lose the attrition war, because while they keep picking up like swaths of guardsmen like Sauron walking around, they're still going to have the problem of 96 mortar shots plus the artillery teams. You know what I mean? Every single turn. So,
yeah, I mean...
So if we're not going to... And this is a good question that Gilbert is basically asking us. If they're not going to have the models out, do you think they'll change the data slate for guard by then or no?
No.
No.
So they'll still have armor contempt on tanks, and they'll still have... the indirect buff.
I don't know.
That I don't know the true answer to that, but I think with the rules cutoff date being pretty hard and firm on this one, we'll have to see. I mean, it's kind of a wait by ear if the that week before the new year they go, oh, next week here's all the guard drops. That changes this entire conversation, right? Because we could just go, oh, well, they're all making it out in time, so therefore great. Because I had this with Du Bois, where I was like, hey, everybody, if the Votan don't come out, you're not playing everything that's not in that one box set. And then just so happens the Saturday before my cutoff, hey, here's all the stuff. So it was available. I mean, not everybody got, there was one guy who kind of threw a couple things together, and one of the Death or Glory guys put a Votan list on the table, but it probably wasn't the top list they could have had because they didn't have time to get everything prepped. It may be the same with guard. If they throw it out there and they get it out, that first week in January, it's a different conversation we're having that Monday morning.
I know. I'm not gonna. I can't even talk. Every time guard are good, the game gets really bad for a lot of armies.
That's because they're one of the only armies that have artillery in multiple forms. Like the only other army that has artillery is is Eldar, right? Like no one else has artillery.
Have it too, but with the indirect nerf, it's not anywhere near as bad.
Also, the buggy nerf of 01. So
yeah,
it's just every time guard are good, there's just so many armies that you can't even play. You know what I mean? It's just exactly. And orcs are hitting on a 5-up.
Units that just can't be played anymore because they just don't function.
Yeah, well, what are you going to bring? A 12-man block of Harlequins and just take 18 auto shots from a 3-man mortar squad? From
a 55-point mortar squad.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, and you got a +1 to hit, +1 to AP, plus then you can do the strength with Creed. Obviously, it's not a lot for LVO, but I'm just saying as we move forward, man, you can't even take certain units. You know what I mean? It's just
it's been 3 weeks of us talking about how indirect when guard is good is tough on the game, and it's tough for, I don't want to say trash units, but for the most part trash units, and then units like the Harlequins that are relying on only a 4-up save and hiding behind a wall.
It's the T3 armies, sisters, any of the elves, basically. You know what I mean? Any of those things, because none of them have. If you're T3. Even if you have a good save, if you're a sister sitting in cover and they go, cool, I got a 2-up save, you're like, great, take 30 of them. You only have 1 wound.
Yeah.
You're still dead. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very rough.
You might as well just pick Crude up and throw them in a wood chipper when they get guard search.
They're just They're a tough army to balance, right? Because like you've got the fundamental things about what makes other armies good. Like when you look at a book and you're looking at what tries to make it good, right? You're like, okay, what cheap units can I play a lot of to basically flood the board, get my objectives done, throw away units, stuff like that. Well, that is the composition of Guard, right? The army is like they're human beings in a world of fucking demons and giants and subhumans and like all this, Xenos and shit. So like they're all already throwaway units. So they have to be cheap regardless, right? They have to be very points costed to be low points. Then you bring their second aspect, which is their tanks are actually pretty durable and they fire a lot. They might not fire the best as like Space Marine tanks and maybe Custodes and obviously things like that, but they shoot well. And then you've got the last aspect, which is the worst part to balance, which is we're one of the only armies that has artillery. And we don't just have like 1 unit or 2 units or 3 units. They have like 7 units. If you go into the Forge World book, they have Griffins, they have, Wyrens, they've got Basilisks, they've got the new mortar battery, they've got the old mortar battery, they've got quad launchers. I mean, it's crazy.
The thing is, though, is they have all those options, but they can't bring them all. You're still limited to heavy spots.
Yeah, man, just bring a spearhead up at the bat, man. You're just going to make spots for them.
You're going to take 2 detachments. They don't have a crazy amount of relics. You don't care.
And you're going to take your Lehman Russes as squadrons. They have to be just within 6 inches.
And you can take a brigade of Guard without too much difficulty.
It's very easy.
There's 5 heavy
slots. 5 slots.
Yeah, and then you take another detachment of something else. Well, the other thing is I want to go to Gilbert's screen real quick. He's like, if they take away the indirect nerf, the buff, whatever you want to call it, they're not going to hit on 5s and 6s because you're literally going to splash the +1 AP, +1 a hit strat
you
on
have that
everybody.
It's an aura order.
Right. So everybody, it's not like you're going to put your mortar teams in Guam. They're going to be together. They're all going to get that order. You're going to have multiple people doing orders. And the thing is that a lot of your army can actually just peek out and see things anyways. It's crazy on that. The only thing that Guard, I think, is going to have a big weakness on is that army has a gigantic footprint, just a huge footprint.
Yep. The Votan's going to actually be really good against him because beam weapons are just going to mess him up.
Yeah, that is true. You're going to hit. How many do I hit? Yes. All of them.
Yeah. It's going to be, I have beam weapons. Lots of guardsmen are dying. Lots of guardsmen are dying.
Yeah. So based on, what we just said and based on the terrain, I think that you're going to see a very interesting meta that is going to be, you're going to see 2 different types of people going to LVO. You're going to see people who practiced, who read the packet, who built a list that's specifically designed for LVO. And then you're going to see people who are like, I ran a list in December and I took the list to LVO, right? That's the same thing, right? It did well in December. It's going to do well, right? I mean, that's literally what's going to happen. You're going to have people who are understanding the nuances of what we're talking about here. And you're going to see people who are like, T-Sons and Demons, I'm good, right?
It was a 40-person GT this weekend where somebody allowed the new Guard, and they won the event.
They pounded the event.
Deep dive through everything, but
somebody messaged me that they actually pound town. I played a couple practice games with them so far. I put 60 bodies, 20 car skins, and I actually ran double commissar at that. The move, and then do actions, and then also you can then pop a dude out of a Chimera and then say they can shoot now. But they throwing double OPSEC on those dudes is crazy time because you can do basically Necron tricks where you're just stealing your opponent's home objectives. It is nutty.
I don't think people are ready. I don't think people are ready for that. I think that people are used to a particular way that things play right now. You've got Harlequins, which got boats running around and doing stuff, but they don't steal your objectives, right? Because they're just boats. And then the troops come in and they kind of do melee, but it's 5 models for the most part, right? Then you've got Tau. They don't steal objectives either. They just murder you. But if you have multiple units there, you still hold the objective. And then you've got the other armies, which are like Tyranids. Same thing. They've got to get close to you. They've got to get into melee. Orcs do the same thing. Thousand Sons do the same thing. No one's ready for, hey, this unit just moved 25 inches and it's OBSEC. The only army that even comes close to that is Eldar. And Eldar's in such a bad state right now, everyone's forgotten about the 8-man bike squad that flies across the table that you gave OBSEC and denies you primary. That's what they're there for. So I think a lot of people are going to be shocked when they play against them.
See,
Hannah's got the best comment. This objective is always the property of the greater good.
Yeah. So there's never a quote written that I agree with more in our chat. Miss Anna just won it right there. This objective was always the property of the greater good. 100%.
Hey, just murders you off the objective. But like I said, if you have stuff, you survive. So, I mean, I think those things are a big deal, and I think that people need to be ready for that. And another thing, the last thing I'll say about Guard is people who did not play Guard at the height, which is 7th edition, 8th edition, aren't ready. People who started in 9th edition, maybe they started in the tail end 8th edition, they don't know. They don't know what's up. They don't know about 200 Guard running across the table with move. Everybody's OBSEC, everybody's immune to morale, and fucking everybody's got an invul, and 4 Bulgarins have a 3-up invul run across the table, and you're getting shot by mortars from God knows where, and you're like, what is going on? That is Guard.
I love the fact of how different me and Brad play this game. Like, we're really good friends, obviously. Brad's one of my boys, but such different ideologies. He just talked about how he's practicing his Guard is nothing like mine. Mine's
dude.
You're
killing it. You're just like kind of killing right. It's the same reason that Tom's no longer allowed to talk about in the pairings about stuff, because we're talking about how the team would do against an army, and we're like, how's this do if the team we pull it out? It doesn't matter. I would destroy it. All right, Tom. The mere mortal's got to talk now. Everybody else on the team, how do you feel you do against this? Tom then goes, but just in case you guys were wondering, I would destroy that.
I do reckon pretty good.
Well, it's like it's one of the nice parts about this group is you have 4 guys with very different play styles in this. Tom's utterly aggressive. TJ's a little more conservative. Brad would rather just move around the board, do objectives, and not shoot you ever, and not interact with you.
Roll no dice.
Roll no dice and go, look, I won the game. That's how it goes. And I like to play that, that middle of really well balanced, because it's the old school guy in me. And it's nice seeing the different perspectives. It's very refreshing in some ways.
I think if Brad watched my practice game just here with Breton, he'd be like, damn it, Tom is doing the same shit. It was like, I'm just full grinding my tanks to the middle of the board as fast as I can get to you. I don't care. You can shoot me, whatever. Why I'm just pounding the shit out of you with artillery. It was fantastic.
Dude, your secondary choices, the best is when Tom and I sat down, we're talking about his Tau and the matchups and what secondaries he can choose. And I'm like, yeah, but I think you're going to get this. And Tom goes, no, that's usually at least a 14 for me. And I go, what? He goes, yeah, I'll take banners. I don't need to put them up right away because I just kill my opponent on turn 3, and then turn 4 I put up 5 banners, so I get 10 for the next 2 turns. So that's all I need to put up is 4 or 5 points in those first 3 turns.
You just gotta have 2 the first turn. That way you get your 5 points for turn 3, and you get your last 10 the last 2 turns.
Yeah,
that's the strategy of banners.
Good. I mean, like I said, it's gonna be a good time. It's kind of the same thing with Voltan, right? Like, people don't know, who aren't in the competitive circuit, who are allowing things like Shane right now. For everyone who doesn't know Shane, he does a lot of the Goonhammer. He did the Goonhammer article for Voltan, and he's been able to play in his local events with Voltan, and I mean the full line. And he's like, the shit is busted. I just destroy people. Berserkers are insane, and we're still waiting, right? Because everyone who's upset in the beginning that they're like, oh, they nerfed him into the ground, this is bullshit, we should have waited till they got all the things. You don't know yet, because you still haven't seen it yet, because Games Workshop is being really bad at this shit right now. Normally, what would normally happen...
Stop putting out armies and not putting out the models for them.
It's not even close. They're not even like, all right, next week come out the models, we promise. It's not like Codex this week, we'll sprinkle some models in, then a week later you got the rest of the models done. They're like, oh man, 3 months later.
It's just crazy to me. What company just runs commercials for their product, and then you go and they're like, oh, we don't have any of those things. We just ran a commercial for them. You're like, yeah, what?
And it's not even close.
World Leader previews for what, 3 months?
Well, yeah. I mean, and they're not even like, hey, listen, the date is X. They're just like, whenever we get them. Yeah. I don't fucking know.
Because we were supposed to have World Leaders and Guard were both supposed to be full releases by the end of the year. And as someone who works in retail, and I know Tom works in a variant of retail. The supply chain is what it has been. It's not great still. The fact that distribution is what it is, it's terrible. But man, give your people some dates, because Votan falling the way it did, I'm glad they put all the models out in 1 week. It was really nice. As a player of many armies, I understand that's a huge expense for someone to go up, but I had to buy it all in 1 week. Well, if you want to be the most competitive and play the top tier army, by all means, do it. But like Guard with this sprinkle splash, here's your box. When's the rest of it coming?
Make it at least available though, so you can buy it as you want to. It's crazy to me that I can't purchase things. No one else goes, hey, I want to buy your product. You're like, no. What do you mean no?
That would be
like I was talking with retailers earlier, because this was the weekend of the Guard box, and everyone ordered the Guard box really heavy, and a lot of Guard players were like, I think I'll wait for the Codex to come out.
So real quick,
and then you're sitting here going, but I bought all these boxes because you guys wanted them. And then they go, yeah, but it's only Guardsmen, and there's only like 2 of the support batteries, and we all have a couple Sentinels, and the new Sentinel, we don't like the butt plug. And then you go, all right. So now the retailers go, oh, well, the sales on this Guard stuff wasn't great. So now when the next Guard stuff comes out, they order a little more conservatively, and then the demand is higher. Then it's inevitably going to happen. I already see it's going to happen. The demand's going to be higher. Stuff's not going to be available at your local stores. GW's web store, because of the way they stock it, they try to stock the independents first and then their web store. Their web store is going to sell a lot of stuff. Independents aren't going to have it, and it's just going to become a shortage, and that's going to be annoying to everybody. So
real quick before we go on to the next thing, I just had someone text me something really helpful, because we don't ever do this. What's up, Connor? Nice to have you on channel. We are a newer channel, guys. We've been doing this for a couple weeks now. We're every Monday at 7 o'clock. Talk about the local metal, things going on there. What we need, though, is people to hit the like button if you guys can. One of our guys, hey, you should probably announce it. We got our intro, our outro is being installed. We're getting all stuff for the channel, so next week we'll have more graphic stuff on here to remind people. But right now we just kind of ask that manually. Thank you for reminding me of that. And then if you guys can help us out, we'd appreciate it. But anyways, back to the chat. I just thought we'd get that in there real quick.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, it's definitely.
Yes, please like, subscribe. If you're one of the 13th Legion guys from Syracuse, Rochester, New York area, please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us all out.
It also puts us on the analytics.
Yeah, yes. Help us with analytics. Help us get more out to the people.
I like
the more stuff we do, the more stuff we can talk about.
And I like to talk.
And the more stuff the more people who watch our show, the more chances we have of getting a sponsor to give away free stuff to all you guys who watch. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, we will be giving sponsored stuff away soon. Army boxes at least once a month. It's gonna be kind of cool. Giving away $100, $200 of stuff every month. Be kind of cool. And we want to do more stuff soon. So
okay.
Yep. So and then. As we go into the Guard thing, the thing I'm telling everybody is, if you want Guard stuff, let your local stores know you want your Guard stuff. If you're like, I'm planning on buying 3 Rogel Dorns the week they come out, go to your local store and say, hey guys, I'm planning to buy 3 Rogel Dorns. I might get 2 this week and 1 next week, but let them know so they have them for you. Just a heads up for all the people out there who really want their products. Let your local store know so they can buy them, so they can have them for you because they want to sell them to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be, it's getting to be that, right? Like, if you don't get it, and if you don't get it in the first wave, good luck, man. You're not getting it unless you're getting it from a scalper, because these stores, I mean, I'm sure you can talk about the sorting, but when was the last time, when you got restocked the first time with CSM? When CSM came out the first time, when did you get restocked with the new models?
It took almost 4 weeks after I played. So I got my initial order, went to do my reorder the next week, and then it took 4 more weeks past that of reorders to finally get stuff back in. I just got cultists back in for the first time in, I think, 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The crazy thing is like they end up having the models that you want after the models you want are no longer the models you want.
Yep.
Well, Sunstrike Bomber just came in stock again.
Nice.
That'll last for a while.
Yeah, I was just saying. No, he didn't.
So, I mean, it's interesting too because it's one of the only companies that I know that runs a business model like this. Like when you know that there is a new game coming out, a new video game, right? We're talking luxury games. This is a luxury game. That is also a luxury game. When I want to play video games, if I want something and I know it's coming out, even if it comes out in 3 years, I can pre-order it somewhere.
Yes, it's so nuts.
GameStop, Walmart, fucking Steam, wherever I want to go, I can get it pre-ordered.
Hold on, TJ. You're talking so much crazy shit. Next thing you're going to say, there's going to be live updates. We're going to be able to get the rules online quickly and efficiently.
So, all right, this is where I get to shed some light from being in the retail side of things. So everyone knows that the announced yesterday that the pre-orders for the holiday box sets for 40K are next Saturday. Guess what day they wanted retailers to have their orders in for those box sets? That had been today by 7 o'clock Eastern time. We had to have all our orders in. We're not allowed to take pre-orders for them yet. So we have to guess how many box sets we're going to sell of the holiday boxes and not over or underestimate so to keep our customers happy. We get
and not get stuck. Right?
No
you don't
lead
get
time.
stuck with the bag, right?
Yeah. So I had to sit there and go, all right. And I, luckily being in the competitive scene and around the competitive scene, unlike a lot of store people, I could look and go, oh, that AdMech
six
set
magnets,
is
right?
just awful.
You picked
Don't
up
rely.
6,000 Suns. You picked up 5 Death Guard, right? Because that's the meta right now.
I mean, I probably got like 5 of each because they always sell because they're, solid armies. People like those box sets. But I definitely ordered like 2 AdMech boxes because with the exception of Call, there's nothing in the Skitarii. The rest of the AdMech boxes just not good on the competitive side of things.
Especially now that we're about to lose the Army of Renown, which is what you played if you're playing AdMech.
Yeah. And
So
it's tough, and I'm sure we could bring in any other retailer who would say the same thing. This really 1 week lead time that they go, okay, next week there's going to be the pre-order. They tell us that Monday the costs of everything, if there's a cap on how many we can order and everything else, to where we have to go, oh, yeah, we have to play this conservatively. And then when they go, there's no cap, we go, all right, well, if there's no cap, do we order extra? Do we pretend like I'm not going to be able to reorder this because they're going to sell out in a week? It's
all right. Well,
giant pain.
I'll go real quick because we have 10 minutes left.
All right.
Let's get off the product chain because a lot of people don't want to listen to that apparently. Let's get into LVO. That's what we started. What we want to talk about.
What are we taking?
That's what I was gonna get to. Brian, you're judging, right?
I am judging. Yep.
Brian,
so you're taking. What are you taking then?
I'm taking hopefully some earplugs because last year my roommate was really loud snore, and making sure I actually bring a water bottle with me this year, so I'm not stuck trying to run and get some warm water out of the.
I brought you gin.
You did not bring me gin. You brought me scotch, which was fantastic.
Oh, scotch. Sorry. How did I say gin? I don't even know where I am right now.
I mean, I also tried to rescue you from falling off a stage, but that's an entirely different story.
Brian, when was the last time we would share a hotel room? Where were we at?
I don't even know.
You scared the shit out of me that night.
Because you thought I died.
No, he got up and in the middle of the night, but not up, and starts gibbering, yelling as he's swinging at the air. And I'm like, I thought someone came into our room, rolled over. I'm like, what the hell? And he's just swinging in the air. And I'm like, all right. So Brad, and he didn't even drink that much that day too. And I was thinking to myself, Brad needs to drink more before we go to sleep from now on.
So
he doesn't do that.
Horton's gonna judge. Tom, what are you taking?
Towel, baby. If guard doesn't get the full line, and like I said this in chat earlier, I was already kind of.
Well, your guard army. I'm assuming if you're getting it that kind of painted, is not going to be done in a month.
Oh, I have 10,000 points in my garage at the paint. Just not very well. I would have taken it. But this is why I was already kind of leaning towards Tau. Never, as my time as a player, have I played one codex for an entire season. And when I started switching the card, I started getting that voice back and I said, listen, for your first time, you could play one codex for every single game of a season if you take Tau. And I was like, you know what? I was already kind of leaning maybe going to Tau. I want to do it. I want to play Tau. I play Tau every single game. Even my practice game, I haven't played a single codex besides Tau this season. And I'm going to finish it strong and go Tau all the way.
Yeah.
And
All
we
right.
know what TJ is taking.
I'm taking demons.
TJ's taking Space Marines. Calling it now.
He's taking Thousand Suns with demons.
No,
I don't know.
Whoa, not
No,
demons.
I don't know
Flavors.
about. I don't know about that because like magic boxes are a problem, and I need to see these. I need to again. We talked about this earlier, but like the packet is very important. If there are a lot of buildings that I just can't see, and you get to place them on the table, that's not good. Player-based terrain is also not good if certain armies are going to be there and be in power, like Chaos Space Marines. Emperor's Children is not an amazing matchup for me if he gets first drop, puts a huge fucking building in the middle of the table right in front of me and goes, I have a building behind it, my army starts behind there, and then on turn 2, everybody runs behind that wall, and then turn 3, I'm in your face, so you're dead. So I have to see this packet first. That's going to be very important for me. I think that demons feel like an option. And Thousand Suns obviously feel like an option. I can tell you what I'm not going to play. I'm not going to play CSM. I'm not a fan of the way they play. I don't think that that army works with my play style.
Crutox, Max Crutox riders.
And Mr. Chester, the man of mystery himself, what are you going to run?
I have no clue. I have absolutely no fucking idea what I'm taking. I think Harlequins, I could get some bad matchups with a guard. I had a really fun time playing around with Tyranids. I heard they're decent. Tom said I should just play Tau. And so I'm thinking about all of these things.
Okay.
And I mean, and then I'm going to get closer to the event and someone will send me $5 in a sandwich and I'll just play that army.
If that's all it's going to take, $5, I can definitely do that.
Andy, to answer your question, I've never ran chaff units. In fact, I hate them, and Brad and TJ
My
give me
God,
shit for it.
you never run enough.
Whatever Stiggs paints. Stiggs already has most of the army painted, Kevin. He has all of the armies painted. He could run whatever he wanted. Brad could run Thousand Suns if he really wanted to. He just won't.
True.
No, I wouldn't even take my 10 crew if I could get away from it. I love my cray suits, and yeah.
Oh,
So
we already answered Max on this. Build Votan next, and or CSM.
TJ and Brian's response on it.
Oh.
Votan is the answer.
Oh, it doesn't want Brad's response. I understand now. That's hurtful.
Wait, you want us to?
Brad,
What do
there's
you?
a
What I build
$5
next?
offer and a sandwich if you run Imperial Fist.
Max, what CSM would you think about playing? Because that's a big deal. What would you like to build? That's important because if you say the wrong faction, I'm going to tell you to go kick some rocks. If you say the right faction, I'll be very excited.
I want
for
to see Max paint Emperor's Children because that would look sick.
you. Yeah.
Plus, they're good.
That's the big thing. I mean, there's going to be 1,000 players in LVO, right? That's a given. There's going to be 1,000 players there this year, or at least damn close to it. You are going to see matchups where things happen like what happened last year, where 2 top-tier players got paired against each other in the first round, and one of them got knocked out right off the get-go.
Yep.
There's a chance that could happen again. I mean, yes, you're not going to get 2 guys. You're not going to get 2 Art of War guys on the same table, but it could happen in round 2.
You have it in round 2. It could happen in round 3, round 4, round 5. It's definitely happening.
I mean,
Someone's
you
playing
just-
somebody.
I played 3 top players last year. The
Yeah,
first
round
day.
1, you played.
I played
round one,
Hurdle.
yeah,
I played
right.
Hurdle
Yeah.
round 1. I played one of the Denver guys round 2, and I played Manny round 3. Day
Yeah,
1 was
Brad,
ridiculous.
Brad ran into the top player in the world, man, and got crushed.
Oh, I did not get crushed.
Right.
Screw you.
I played some
Right,
nice
yeah.
gentlemen round 1 with the brass scorpion.
And
And I felt bad because I was playing GSC.
last year was one of my top 5 bad decisions of going to 40K things. Hey, man, when your roommate's biggest bitch to you is, could you bleed on the floor less?
Yeah.
Listen, Brad,
So-
it was kind of cool to watch Brad get crushed by Manny and everyone because, like, Brad got to be, like, the fanboy for a minute. And Brad didn't know I'd seen this. But Brad was like, at the end of the game, he looked around, made sure no one was looking, and he put out his codex, like, hey,
Yeah,
Manny,
sign it.
would you sign my codex?
That would have been awesome. No, one of the best. No, a real thing that happened during the game. Mr. Horton over here comes up to let me know how bad my dice are. He's like, "Hey, man, been watching this game. you've been rolling super bad, and then he just kind of waits for me, just trolling me, and I finally go, fuck you, Brian.
He waited though.
He literally waited for me, just standing here and waiting.
He patiently waited for that comment. So one last thing, guys, I'm gonna bring us on out of this today. I want to thank everybody for hanging out and chatting with us. What I want to leave you guys with is each one of you guys, I want you guys to pick a pro player that is not in here and tell me if he's going to play the army that he's playing currently, or he's going to try one of the new armies and what it would be if he's going to try something new. So,
and
one player could be anybody.
Also, don't forget, hit that like button if you haven't already. It helps that all as a new channel. And every Monday, 7 o'clock, we're here.
Also, this Thursday, I will be randomly drinking wine and talking about nonsense.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a thing.
Yep.
So yeah.
Right.
So what do you got? Horton, since you're judging, give me somebody.
I think we're gonna see Lennon play Blood Angels.
Okay. Wow. All right.
I can see Jack on Blood Angels.
I like that because my pick for Blood Angels to make it in top 8 suddenly got a little bit more spicier. Fuck all you doubters.
Okay. I like it. Okay, so Mr. Ogden, what about you? What do you got?
I don't know, man.
Oh, that's a good song. Pick somebody. Pick anybody. Pick Manny.
How about I just throw a name at you?
Yeah, what do you think
Harpster
Manny's gonna
Blood
play?
Angels. I think Harpster's going to try Blood Angels.
So everyone's playing Blood Angels over there.
100%.
All right, cool. Everybody in Art of War is playing Blood. Anthony's going to go back to Blood Angels.
Everyone's playing Blood Angels.
Anthony's playing.
It's not even Tom. Tom looked into the future. The entire top 8 is now Blood Angels.
Yep, it's all Blood Angels, guys.
Brad's playing Blood Angels.
It's 7 Blood Angels and Ogden.
TJ's playing Blood Angels.
It's 7 Blood Angels and Ogden.
That's it. And Ogden's like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this the 3rd time in a row. God damn.
No, Manny Team was going to win the event after crushing Brad of Blood Angels.
All right. I'm gonna take Manny actually, and I think that Manny's gonna play Voltan. I don't think that Manny's gonna play Thousand Suns. I don't believe that Manny won the last event he went to last weekend with Thousand Suns. I think he's gonna play Voltan, especially if they get their models. If they don't get their models, I think he's gonna do some guard nonsense. He's gonna take like his standard bullshit list, which is like, how many of these artillery pieces can I take? All right, cool. I put all of them in the same list. I could definitely see him doing that. 100%.
Brad, pick your person.
Nathan's going to bring the weirdest list you've ever seen of some sort of Eldar that he's been painting in the basement. And that's where he does paint, by the way. So it's not even saying it. And
he's not playing orcs? He's literally his beautifully painted.
I just don't think that he has the feel for him, man. Like they don't live in his heart and soul, like the elves do.
So then it's got to be, it's gonna be some weird webway gates nonsense that we're gonna see then.
It'll be
on the off chances we screwed around the LBO thing. I just want to ask one question: has anyone read the player packet for Warzone Atlanta?
Yeah.
Yep. I'm not even going in a rift.
Yeah, they changed the way they did terrain, but it's still pretty weird.
Yes.
I'm just saying I can't wait to see somebody bring Sporocysts and pick somebody's building up and go, I'm putting it right there.
It's
also, real quick before we hit this off, tickets for MCM do go live tomorrow. We're like 2 days behind. We're supposed to bring them out yesterday, but they go live tomorrow. They will be 20% off for the first 2 weeks, which takes a pretty big chunk off. So if you guys go to MCM, grabbing the first 2 weeks, it helps it out and get to save yourself some money.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our content. We got plenty more coming. Thursday, Brad's going to do some random shit, and we're doing this every Monday. So.
Oh, and TJ
Brad,
and
what you telling me is we're drinking on Thursday?
Releasing more stuff. So.
Just Thursdays now. He only drinks on Thursdays, apparently.
Yeah. Okay.
What?
All right. Thanks for all the new faces. It's good to see some new people on the channel. And like I said, we try to be super interactive with the chat. Ask questions. We enjoy it. Talk about the meta, and it's fun. See you guys next week.
Later, Gators.
See you guys.